All right, you guys, I'm super excited to have Rosalind Daniels on the show. I have known her for a long time. She is a content creator, a lifestyle brand. She's been seen on HLN. She's been a speaker at the Tastemaker Conference. She does a lot of things, but what we talk about in this episode is owning your gift and making the right decisions for your business right now, like what things your business needs. Let your business tell you. We go a little bit into that, and then we talk about why it really matters about doing your best and that not everybody knows everything. You're not alone trying to figure this out, and so much more. So be sure to stay tuned. I can't wait for you guys to listen in. You guys will hear a little bit about her story and some interesting things that happened to me in the past few months. You're probably catching this episode after I recorded this several months later because, as you guys know, in episode 30, I was just telling you that we moved from Florida to Georgia. But when I recorded this episode with Rosalind, I was still in Florida. So keep that in mind, but definitely keep the gems that she shares in mind and let me know what you guys think. So be sure to stay tuned and listen all the way to the end. Welcome to She's Crafted to Thrive. I'm your host, Nikita Williams, and this show is for all the ladies who are making and creating things that they love. You will hear conversations about the real everyday struggles of juggling life and business while trying to maintain passion and harmony. As women, we have the skill of getting things done, but sometimes we get in our own way. It's here where you'll see that you're not alone. You'll discover that success does not mean perfection. Fear and negative thoughts and challenges are all a part of the journey. And on this podcast, you'll find the inspiration and tools you need to have a life and business that thrives. You guys, I'm so excited to have Rosalind on the show. She is like all the things. She's a lifestyle personality. She's a content creator. She's a photographer. She has a restaurant. She's been all around the world. And if you aren't following her on Instagram, you definitely need to check her out. She shares all the cool DIY hacks and easy meals and entertainment, just so many good things. And we have known each other for a little bit here. We've been in different steps in our lives, stages in our life, but we've definitely stayed in contact via Instagram and all the things online. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing and who you are. And
so I'm Rosalind Daniels, and I'm a you honestly, you just did like a really good intro, but I wear many hats. I'm a lifestyle expert, a TV personality, a foodographer, and a videographer. And now I have the producer hat on as well, in addition to being a wife and mother.
Is awesome. Yeah, those are all the things, right? Like that's the whole gamut. Like that's a lot.
Well, Yeah. That's just like some of it. But as far as the Rosalind Daniels brand, like that's what's under that right now. So yeah, it's a lot. I'm just trying to make it all come together, so people could really get what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about what kind of started this path that you're on right now. Like how did all of this brand of the Daniels come about?
So I initially wanted my own show, and I've always been in entertainment. I've acted for years. I started on television maybe at like 7 or 8. And so, moving to Atlanta when I first started, I was in theater out here, and then real life just kind of set in. I needed to like get a job so I could pay my bills because like being a starving artist wasn't working. And so then like life just started happening, and I kind of like lost sight of that. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a creative. So when I was in corporate America, like I started my Chic Boutique tours, which were like these shopping tours that I would do. That was like an outlet for me to just kind of get my creativity going. Mm-hmm. And then I've just always kind of put my hands in different things to just have that outlet, but still sticking to the regular 9 to 5 and, kind of checking off those those boxes of what I feel like society says you need to do.
Right.
And so, then like I got married and, we moved to California. And when I originally, I'm going to make it short, but when I originally came to Atlanta, I was actually on my way to California. I just got stuck in Atlanta. And so, so finally my husband got a job in California and we went to California. And when I was there, I felt like I was in a place where I didn't have noise of like, you need to do this, you need to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I really like became true to who I am and accepted who I am, own the fact that I like to be in front of a camera. I like to entertain people. I like to express myself in ways that like touch the soul. And it's okay, you know, because I used to be scared to say that because in Atlanta, it's like everyone's trying to be a star. Everyone wants to be on TV. And I didn't want to be in that category, but while not trying to be in that category, I was denying who I truly am. And so, so when I was out there, I owned that and I'm like, I want a show. And so I have a girlfriend who works in TV, and I just kind of explained to her what I wanted to do. And she was just like, okay, well, networks aren't in the business of taking chances. So you either need to have a following or you need to have the experience. And so, I just tried to start pursuing both. And then, I started doing TV segments I was in Northern California in Sacramento area. And so I started doing TV segments out there and I started my website. I never had intentions on being a blogger. I still don't consider myself a blogger, but I do understand why I am in that category.
Yes.
But so that's something I have to deal with. But but I needed a website, you know, because I look at it like you don't call Martha Stewart a blogger. You go to her website and you get your information, and that's what I wanted to try to do, you know. Mm-hmm. And so so I started on TV, doing TV segments, and then I started like filming episodes of these, like I was doing shows, doing a mixture of cooking and DIY and like lifestyle hacks. Like, and so when I was out there though, I had a hard time finding people to like film me and edit in the way that I liked. So that's when I started picking up the camera and like, I can figure this out. Let me try to do it myself, like, you know? And so that's what I did. And so I love it. Yeah, I just went for it. And I questioned as many people as I knew, like in videography, to just try to learn as much as I could. And so then that kind of opened the doors to like, it started off like, I feel like my first gig was not food related, but like people started seeing like my videos and they're like, oh, well, my company needs this. Can you do that? Like, oh yeah, I sure can. Like, you know, so it just kind of opened this door into video and production. And so, I just kept on going with it. And then I found out I had to move back and,
move back to Atlanta, right?
To Atlanta. And when I moved back, the same week I found out I was moving back, I found I was pregnant.
Wow.
And so, And so, I was so nervous because I had started establishing things in Cali and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose it in Atlanta, you know? And, I didn't. Like the work that I was putting in Northern Cali, there were people in Atlanta watching that. So when they found out I moved back to Atlanta, like producers started contacting me to come on like shows and stuff. And so it is just kind of kept on going from there.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I love like all of the little steps that happen in there. I think as women in general, we like start somewhere we don't know where we're going, but we know what we want, but we're afraid because of all the things, right? Like all the things that people are saying, all the people that are what we think we should be doing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can totally agree with you on that level. In the sense of like not knowing how to own that thing that you feel like you want to do and like be okay with it. And once you embrace it, like beautiful things are happening for you, right?
Yeah, like, and I try to tell everyone that, like, if you have a dream, go for it. You may not accomplish that dream, okay? You just need to know that. You may not. But along that road, that journey, it can go into different things. I never knew food media was a thing. Like, I never knew people paid people to take pictures and video food. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I knew, like, the closest thing I thought that was, like, cool in the food industry was, like, being a taste tester. Like, you know? Oh, so you're gonna bite into that apple and you're going to pay me to take a picture of the apple that's bitten into, you know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Right.
And so, yeah, like, when you go on your path to like try to accomplish whatever that dream is, it can lead you to different places that you just did not know was possible. So that's what's been going on with me.
That's awesome. Well, I want to go back to something you said that I think a lot of my audience in general has kind of like have said to me or have reached out to me and they're like, well, what happened in California that you were like, it's okay to be me? Like, what shifted do you think happened? Like, how do you feel like something changed? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I just felt like, you know, like I was out of the South. You know, like the South comes with rules and things you have to do, expectations and blah, 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 you know, and California is free spirited. You know, that's how I grew up. I'm from the beach area. I'm from Virginia Beach. Like, free spirit, you know, whichever way the wind blows, do what makes you feel good. Like, you know, if you don't want to get married, who cares? If you don't want to have kids, who cares? If you want to get married, great. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the vibe there. And so it was just like, it was just more acceptance and just like, you know, just do you know what I'm saying? And then it's like I also had my daughter. So it was just like, okay, so I'm going to tell her to go after her dreams, but mommy's sitting here not doing it, you know? And I don't know. I just couldn't do that, you know? So yeah, but definitely the environment helped. And that's why I think it's really important for people to understand where they're at and be aware of what energy is coming from where they're at, because energy is real. And, you know, you have to just make sure you're in a good place, like, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that point. I talk about this a lot in the show about how it's important to know who is around you and how it affects you.
Yeah.
You can't just allow people and things to affect you without taking stock in how much it actually is affecting your life.
Yeah. And that's why, like, even when I moved out there, like, cause I didn't have the noise, so it allowed me to think clearly. Like, I, like, ended a ton of friendships. Like, I distanced myself, you know, like, because I started to see, okay, what's different now is this isn't here, this person isn't here, these situations aren't here, and I feel good. You know? And I think I'm going to stay feeling like this.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and cut all that out. Like, you know? And best thing I ever did.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. That's very, very true. So what are some things, obviously you just mentioned your daughter, what are some things that inspire you to do what you're doing? I mean, because you're doing so many cool, creative things, but I'm sure there's more behind that.
And when you say that, like, in what aspect? My drive, as far as like, inspiration for like photos, content.
I mean, your drive to do, cause you're building a brand, you know, you're doing a lot of different things, but to me, it's, you know, the concept of building a personal brand these days are kind of, you know, they're anything, right? So, but there's a reason why someone's doing that. There's a passion behind it. And, you know, you were saying that for you, it's kind of like you've always wanted to have your own show. Is that what you have in mind for this?
Yeah, that's the top of the line. Like, everything goes back to that. Literally. Like, because I have to even check myself sometimes. You know, like, what are you doing? Like, you know, is this going to get you a show? Like, you know? And so I always, like, have to remember what the goal is. It helps you to make sense of what you're doing and whether or not you should be doing it.
Yeah.
And then, like, for me, I'm trying to think. I also have this thing where I've just always been an independent person. And I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I, like, you know, when I started, it was because it was something that I genuinely wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like, okay, how do I put this? I'm trying to think. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
I'm an independent person. However, I'm married. And so, like, those feelings of who I am have never left. And so, you know, for me, there was a time where I did feel like I had to prove myself to, I guess, society, family, friends, mm-hmm. Because my husband, he has a great career. I don't have to work or anything. And I never wanted to put off that I'm like a leech on my husband. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I respect women who stay at home and just chill, you know?
Right.
But for me, I just always have felt like I have to contribute just as much. And it could be in my own way. Like, even taking care of the kids and cleaning the doggone house is my contribution. Like, you know, as well. But like, a part of me never wanted people to think that like what I have is just because someone gave it to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
I totally understand where you're coming from right now. You're speaking to me right now, like so serious right now. Like, yes, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's like a huge drive. And luckily, like, you know, my husband, he gets it. Like, he's not insulted or anything like that. But it's just something that is just really in me. And I want my kids to see that. Like, I want that in them too, you know?
Right.
Like, so yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I just recently, and I don't think I've talked about this on the show, but, most of the listeners know that I have a chronic illness. So my husband works, you know, and I'm so thankful that I have a husband who works and he has a good job and and I don't necessarily have to work either, you know, thankfully. Right. But I'm the same way. I love to work. I love to make something of my own, especially because I have something I have no control over, right? Like, I have no control over this chronic illness. Is with an S. So I have, my business is something that I can control, or the things that I do, or the people that I reach out to. But, a couple of weeks ago, my husband was playing basketball by himself. And he was like, it's Florida, so it's hot. He was playing basketball by himself and he blacked out in the middle of the parking lot.
Oh my God.
And he comes home after he blacks out. He drove home, y'all. Don't get me started on this. He drove home. He drove home. I took him to the ER. And then after the whole thing, we're in the ER for a day. You know, we're still dealing with some of the things afterwards. All I kept thinking to myself was like, not that I ever think anything is going to happen to him, but it could. And I was like,
yeah, I'm totally a morbid person. Like, I say to my husband every day, like, if you die tomorrow, we need.
What am I gonna do?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, because especially like I'm getting older, okay, and it's real. It's real.
Yeah.
Somebody can drop dead tomorrow.
Okay, exactly.
Tonight, you know?
Exactly.
And are you going to be okay? You know?
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. So when you're saying that, I'm like, it's a drive behind you that you just want to do something that fulfills you. Like, it fulfills you. It creates a purpose, beyond, other purposes you might have to be a mother or, a spiritual purpose, just something that is something you feel good about doing. And,
and I feel good about doing like my creative, outlets.
Yeah.
I couldn't work for someone though. Like, and for me personally, like that's not my accomplishments. Like, for me, an accomplishment is I started something and I made something of it, versus going to work for someone else. And that's just me and my personality and who I am. I'm not knocking anybody else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
That's a big part of it too.
Yeah, no, I love that. Wow. So have there been some challenges, obviously, going through this process of building a brand? It's kind of like you're working backwards from a goal that you want. Like you want to have your own show. So all these other things are happening behind the scene to build up to this in goal. Have you felt like there have been some challenges along the way that you just like, why am I, like you were saying earlier, why am I still doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes it gets hard, is this ever going to go anywhere? Am I ever going to accomplish the goals that I have? Like, I understand I'm accomplishing something, but this is not what I intended to do. Am I ever going to accomplish the goal that I wanted to accomplish? So that gets hard sometimes. Putting in, and just like literally continuing to work and not seeing the results sometimes, and staying motivated. And then another thing that I've had difficulty with is the balance. Like, I just go through these times where I just like go hard. It's like really ridiculous. But it's not healthy on my family, especially like because my kids are getting older and they recognize, oh, mommy's working,
Yeah.
And, while I want them to see me work hard, I just don't want to take away from their time.
Yeah.
But then it's like the mommy guilt is real. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I want this life for them and I want to, show them so many things. But for that, to do that, like I have to work hard, and smart. But I have to do this, make this sacrifice now for this life later. So that is a struggle. And just, as far as business, just like trying to figure it out, because every business is different. One thing that I really have recognized though is that everyone is trying to figure it out. Yes. Corporations, like when I am mind blown by like some of the stuff I witnessed, with different companies and stuff. Not saying that it's bad, but it's just like we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect. And these bigger corporations, they're trying to figure it out too. They're trying to see what works, what doesn't work. They just may have more money to make, like take chances.
Right.
But a lot of people are trying to figure it out, and I think there's like, to know that it just kind of calms you down, like, okay. Because it's just like, especially in the influencer world, like it's a whole nother world. Like you had bloggers before, but not real influencers that were regular people. Like you had influencers that were like famous and stuff like that. So like this is a whole new world.
Yeah.
That everyone's trying to figure out.
Yes.
There's no set rules and just, so sometimes it can get difficult when you're like, okay, did I make the right decision? Did I charge the right amount? Did I send the right email? Did I do that? Like, did I say something the way, and, I think when I did that, when I moved to Cali, that also just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like what's for you is for you. There's nothing that you can do perfect or wrong to stop it. It's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So just do what you need to do your best. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it wasn't meant to be. Keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we get so stuck in the details sometimes that we just don't do anything. And so the fear kind of, we get in our way. And, you know, I'm totally guilty of doing that myself. Just being like, this is so complicated. This is so complicated. And you keep saying that to yourself and then you just don't do it. Or it's like too scary, or I just don't know, or how do you do this? And you're like, and then you realize, you know, you call your friends that are like doing something that you want to be doing. And they're like, well, it's really not that easy. And then you're like, oh, so I'm not crazy. You're like, okay, so this is okay. I'm doing all right. I'm actually better than you were where you were. And you're like, okay, I'm good. So I love that you said that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So with those fears and I mean, like those challenges, how have you, like, what have been some things you've put into place to kind of help you like just go?
Although I haven't been doing this for the last because it's kind of like it's summer break in my house, so I feel like it's, you know, the Wild Wild West in my house right now. But besides the last month, like I tried to, when the kids come home from school, my computer is gone. Try to put the phone down, you know, and just put my focus on them. Another thing I'm trying to think as far as like, helping with learning about just different resources, pricing, opportunities and stuff like that. I swear these doggone Facebook groups have helped me so much. Like, you know, whatever you're doing, you can find a Facebook group for that. And just like literally start asking questions. If you have a question, put it in the search box. Someone's already probably asked it, you know, like, and really like utilize these free groups that are there. Because I'm telling you, like my first, my first food video job, I like totally like priced myself so wrong. And I had asked in, a video group that I'm in, like, you know, how much are you charging? And like, when I found out, I was like, what? Like, hey, I really, you know, messed up. And so from like, for real. And so from that moment on, I was like, you know what? If I'm not sure about it, I'm going to look in these groups first or go to Google, like at all times, like, or ask someone I know who's doing the same thing that I'm doing, you know, just like literally like try to find out. Because, yeah, like, I felt so stupid. I was like, dang, I'm off. I would have just asked the question before this, like, you know?
Yeah. Were you like, are you saying like you were off like too low? Like you like really lowballed yourself?
I totally lowballed myself. Yeah, like tremendously. But that's like a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think, that's definitely goes along with the lines of knowing your worth. And then, Jasmine Star says add tax. Like we just, I think in general, we kind of just think lower about what we're able to do. And someone who doesn't know anything will charge more. And you're looking like, wait, what? You never done that before.
I think one of my issues was like, charging what I would pay. Like, just because I would pay it doesn't mean someone else wouldn't or would. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I had to get out of my head with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a good point.
It's like really just, you know, sometimes people can't afford my services. That's okay. Like, you know, but I try to make sure I price myself in a way to where, you know, the people who can, it's good for a while. Like, you know, because, you know, I just feel like the biggest thing is I don't want to do a job and resent my client while I'm doing it or afterwards and then feel stupid, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be feeling shady, giving them shade while they're in front of your camera or you delivering the product.
I'm just like, I don't even want this job no more. Like, I'm doing this for pennies.
Oh man. So what are some things that, like, tools, like what are some tools that you cannot live without in your business right now? Like that you're using? I mean, Facebook groups, I have had so many people, and I love me some Facebook groups. Everybody needs to figure out how to use them. If you're scared of them, get out of your own way, because Facebook groups are like gold mines for free information. Yeah. So what are some other tools that you use?
I love Trello. That I used to be so afraid of it, but now it's just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. You know, I use a Trello board for everything. And Wave app, I use that for invoicing. I just like that in lieu to like PayPal or I don't know, whatever else people use. Because, you know, like you can get reports, it takes out your taxes, you can just have everything set up. It makes it easy, it's nice and clean, and you're done, you know? Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Like, I don't use much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I'm the same way. I tell people as simple as you can keep it, the better, because you're not going to be overwhelmed. And there's so many different types of tools that, you know, you might try to force yourself to use a tool that's not for you. Like, it's just not going to work for you. Try something else. There's another tool out there for you. So yeah.
Yeah. And for like Instagram, I like, I'm using Later, but I started, working on Unum because it's like, is UNUM.
I've never heard of that.
It's the way it's pronounced, but I like it better, honestly, because it gives you a better visual. I'm really visual. So it gives you a better visual of your feed.
Unum.
Yeah, it was like ranked by Forbes, like for like the top, not scheduling, because I don't think they do posts. Because at this point, because I started trying it out, and then what I do is I do both. So I'll like do like my stuff on Unum, because it really does visually look better.
Okay.
And on Later, it's like they'll put like a film over your last post, and then you only can see a clear upcoming post.
I gotcha.
And for me, that messes me up visually.
Okay.
So I'll put figure it out in Unum and then schedule it for Later and just do it that way. That's
okay. I see what you're saying. For a visual, I got what you're saying.
Yeah, because I like to see like, you know, what the feed's looking like.
Cool. I'll have to check that one out. As many people I have had on the show, nobody has ever told me about that one. That's a new one. This is like, I've heard most of the tools. I'm like, oh yeah. I haven't heard of that one. So I'll have to check that out for sure. Put that in the show notes.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
It's okay. It's, you know, we'll figure it out. There's going to be a link in the show notes. Okay. So if there was one thing you would tell a millennial woman who's beginning their business, their journey, what would you tell them?
Let your business decide what your needs are. So like, you know, I feel like so many people get caught up in like, oh, do I have a great website? Do I have like business cards? What is my logo? Blah, blah, blah. These are things no one cares about except you at the end of it. Like seriously, you know, you want your brand to come together.
Yeah.
You can book jobs without having a fancy logo.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, most people use text now. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so before you invest the money, you know, let your business even tell you if you need it, you know? Cause I remember when I first started, like when I did my first website, and I didn't really know exactly what I needed. After a few years, I'm like, oh my gosh, like video is my main thing. So I need to invest in a website that like is video focused, blah, blah, blah. So now I know, you know, where to put my money at. You're spending like thousands of dollars doing this. You want to get it right. Like, you know, at least as much as possible, because you're probably going to have to do it again, you know. But like before you make that investment, you know, give yourself some time. Like, you may have all these ideas that you want to do, but at the end of the day, you might do just 2 of them, and that's what your business is. You know, everyone's so excited, which is great when you start, but, you know, keep that excitement into your creativity and growing, not necessarily, you know, thinking you need so much, you know, to get started. You don't need anything to get started. You literally don't. You just need, we need some social media account. And some people, there's a lot of people who don't even have websites. I think you should have a website, but that's another story. But there are a lot of people who have businesses that are just based on like social, you know? So.
Yeah, I have a client right now. She's a bookkeeper, and all she has is Instagram and Facebook, and she has no website. She has a calendar that people can schedule. And I'm like, that's like, people want to get to you as soon as possible. And half the time, you know, we really focus on the website and all that. I mean, every business should have a website. Let me just say that. Everybody should have one, but it doesn't have to be the first thing you do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be the first thing you have to go spend thousands of dollars for. Matter of fact, don't spend $1,000. Maybe spend $25 and see if your concept even works.
And that.
Okay.
You know, and I mean, when you think about, like, you know, with millennials, I just feel like everyone goes to social media first. Like, you want to go to a new restaurant, let me look it up on Instagram, let's see what their photos are looking like, you know, type thing. Rarely do people, not rarely, no, because Google is a big, like, clearly. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like, a lot of people go to social first. I feel that are younger. And so that's the new thing. So, you know, you have to, like, accommodate that.
Yeah. Well, that was great advice. I totally agree with it because it's true. Don't get focused on the high points. Just focus on the growth. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This is so much fun. I feel like we really connected on a different vibe here. Yes. So tell us how we can find you online. If you have any cool things happening with your business that you want to tell the audience about, we love to hear it.
Okay. Well, you can find me everywhere with Rosalind at Rosalind Daniels, and that's ROSALYNN Daniels. Yeah. I hope you know how to spell Daniels. And same thing with the website, RosalindDaniels.com. I will be speaking at the Tastemaker Conference in Portland in September. So
wow.
Get out there, please come and say hi. I just had my first video to actually air on television. It's a commercial. And so it'll be airing in California. So if you're in California, look out for California Beef Council videos.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Amazon Alexa. So I'm really excited about that. And, new content starts rolling out in mid-August for RosalindDaniels.com. So be on the lookout for that and sign up for my monthly newsletter if you can.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, ladies, that's a wrap for this episode of She's Crafted to Thrive. Thank you so much for joining me. Please share with your friends and be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. In the meantime, check us out at shescrafted.com to check out the show notes for all the goodies and things that we talked about, and there'll be links there for you guys. So in the meantime, just remember, you are crafted to thrive.